Good Friday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Conversation Daily News. Glad you all could be with us. Of course, you have your news headlines coming up on this Friday. I have a message from my book, Words That Choose to Live By. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you're part of my conversation with author Tom Seeman discussing his new book, Animals I Want to See. You don't want to miss that. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Friday headlines. In Mississippi news, Congressman calls on FBI to investigate disappearance of Jackson woman, says WJTV Channel 12. U.S. Representative Benny Thompson has called upon the Federal Bureau of Investigations to investigate the disappearance of Latasha Crump Coleman. The congressman said he was approached by Coleman's family, who are concerned about the possibility of the case going cold. The 46-year-old Jackson native was last seen on July 18th. Despite efforts by local law enforcement, Coleman's whereabouts remain unknown. It is imperative that we leave no stone unturned in the search for Latasha Coleman. Her disappearance is deeply troubling, and we owe it to her family and loved ones to pursue every avenue available in our quest for answers, said Thompson. The expertise and resources of the FBI are essential in situations like these, where time is of the essence and the need for a thorough, exhaustive investigation is paramount. Coleman's family believes her husband knows something about her disappearance. There was a brawl between her family and the relatives of her estranged husband, Derek Coleman, in December 2023. Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones said 5 adults were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct after the fight. Anyone with information on Coleman's whereabouts can contact the FBI's tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-225-5324. In more Mississippi news, 75% of Mississippi third graders passed reading tests in 2024, says WJTV Channel 12. Officials with the Mississippi Department of Education announced that 76% of 31,787 third graders passed the initial administration of the third grader reader assessment. The test was given this spring for the 2023-2024 school year. According to MDE, the percentage is nearly the same as the initial pass rate in 2022-2023 of 76% when 31,623 third graders took the assessment, and higher than the pre-pandemic initial pass rate of 75%. In accordance with the Literacy-Based Promotion Act, third graders who do not pass the initial administration of the reading test are given up to 2 attempts to retest. After the final retest in 2022-2023, 85% of third graders passed the test, and 85% passed the test in 2021-2022. In sports, Simone Biles is stepping into the Olympic spotlight again, says the Associated Press. She is better prepared for the pressure, they say. Simone Biles is not cured. A cure, says the Associated Press, implies finality, an ultimate and decisive victory. If the gymnastics superstar has learned anything in the 3 years since those strange, uncertain days in Tokyo, when she put her mental health and personal safety ahead of her pursuit of more Olympic glory, it is the battle to protect yourself is never really over, never fully won. It's a lesson she learned in front of the entire world in Japan, where Biles arrived at the face of the Summer Games, only to withdraw from multiple competitions, including the team final, when her body simply stopped during what her brain was asking her to do. In the moment, Biles blamed it on the twisties. On the surface, she was right, yet they sprang from something deeper and harder to define. She can't even explain it, and the doctor she sees probably can't even explain it to her, says Laurent Landy, who along with his wife Cecile has coached Biles since 2017. It's a trauma that happened to her, and that came at a bad time, and she could not handle it. It's as simple as this. She could not function. She could not be a gymnast at that time. She can now, says the Associated Press, though the road to this moment, Biles will compete for the first time in 2024 at this weekend's U.S. Classic, has been difficult. It has required a new mindset, at times a literal mother's touch, and constant vigilance to work on herself, work she now understands has no expiration date. And finally, in business news, Wall Street edges back from records after Dow briefly tops 40,000. U.S. stocks edged back from their record heights Thursday after the Dow Jones Industrial Average briefly topped the 40,000 level for the first time. The Dow slipped 39 points, or 0.1%, to 39,869. The S&P 500 index, which is much more widely followed on Wall Street, dipped 11 points, or 0.2%, to 5,297, and the Nasdaq Composite fell 44 points, or 0.3%, to 16,698. All three indexes had rallied on Wednesday to all-time highs. Stronger than expected profit reports have been one of the main reasons U.S. stock indexes have broadly jumped through May to records following a tough April. Another has been revived hope that the Federal Reserve will be able to cut its main interest rate at least once this year. The Fed has been keeping its federal funds rate at the highest level in more than 2 decades. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Friday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. The Creator allowed you to wake up today. What you choose to do moving forward will show how much you appreciate that privilege, so let's make the most of it. Have an amazing Friday and enjoy your weekend. We have part of my conversation coming up with author Tom Seeman in today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us. You're listening to Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with Entertainment Spotlight. Author Tom Seeman joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about his powerful new book, Animals I Want to See. Here's a bit of our conversation.
Tom, thank you again for the time today. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me, Cyrus. I'm glad to be here.
Well, the pleasure's definitely all mine. One of the things you talk about in the book as your story unfolds for us in Animals I Want to See, Tom, is time and how time kind of provides perspective, but also, of course, helps us to be able to see things in a different way. What has that been like for you to kind of reflect on this journey and to think about how you've been able to get to where you are today?
I mean, one of the things I would say is writing the book made me a kinder person, because when I look back, I always knew that kind acts had been done for me, both in the neighborhood and outside of the neighborhood. But when you write them all down in a book and they appear on the page, you see the vast number of small kindnesses that were done. I would say that my life is sort of a collection of small kindnesses that add up to my life, that have helped me along the way to change things. And the book goes into some of those, obviously, along the way. So looking back, I would say that. And the second thing I would say is there was some therapeutic element to it as far as my relationship with my siblings and my mother and my family and friends. You tend to dig in deep when you're writing a book like this. And so it definitely revealed some new truths to me.
What was that like for you to look at? The idea of not only the power of the truth, but also how liberating the truth can be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there were some episodes in the book when I was starting to think about writing this book, should I put that in there or not? Does it show me in a certain light? And there's also just this process when you're writing a book of deciding what goes in and what goes out, what continues the theme of the book and what doesn't, and cutting out things that don't. But yeah, so, telling the truth about how things really were was one of my, I think, strongest disciplines in this book. And I really wanted to show how it was, but also to show, it's not a sad book, right? It's not a book that just drags you down.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. I'll be back to you guys on Monday for an abbreviated week. I'll be headed to Los Angeles next week. I will be with you guys Monday through Wednesday with your news, a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until Monday, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.